It was the lowest period of my life, me, Ethan. I wed Alice, my longtime lover, when I was 26. We've supported one another ever since. I cherished Alice to the hilt. She was my life's purpose. To say Alice was my reason for existing would be a stretch, but she truly meant the world to me. Since our undergraduate years together, Alice and I have been together. However, the way we met is a little awkward. I went all out since I thought she was the one, and was instantly smitten with her. Alice surprised me at first, but her generosity and compassion just deepened my feelings for her. I eventually admitted that the reason I wanted to marry her was that she was Alice. Though our relationship began with a great deal of intensity, that was only the beginning. I thought Alice and I were doing well, but Alice was diagnosed with cancer when I was approximately 30 years old. When it was found, it had already begun to spread, and the medical professionals predicted that it would not live long. I sobbed, feeling pitiful. It was not me who was in pain, but Alice. She undoubtedly knew that I was trying not to cry in front of her. It was excruciating to watch her always appear happy in front of me. I therefore made every effort to help her so that she could say she had a happy life in the time she had left. She ate her favorite dishes every day, and we went on trips. She preferred to live her life on her terms, as opposed to endure prolonged agony. We laughed a lot and enjoyed ourselves because it was Alice's wish. Alice lived longer than the doctors had anticipated as a result of that. Isn't Ethan a little lonely? I wish to preserve certain memories because of this. You can chuckle, remember the wonderful times, and avoid feeling lonely by doing that. Do you not think? Alice smiled when she went to heaven, and never stopped thinking of me. It seemed like the end of the world to me. I was lost when I wasn't with Alice, even though I attempted to act tough around her. My house was disorganized before I knew it, and all I did was either stay at home or take the commute to work. I had no enjoyment and could not think of anything to chuckle at. I thought life was over on a daily basis. However, something changed in my life at that point. It was 1 month following Alice's death. After work, I noticed a note from Alice in the mailbox. It stunned me. When I quickly opened the envelope, I saw that Alice had scrawled some words on it. I requested that my parents send this letter after my passing. You are no longer in my presence if you are reading this. Knowing you without me, you're probably depressed and your room is a mess, don't you? If you're thinking that, I have a surprise for you. A gift card good for a spa resort stay. I purchased it covertly. Take advantage of this to relax and rejuvenate. Oh, and make sure you utilize it. You may count on me to haunt you if you fail to send me a photo from the trip. Alice's feelings and ideas were recorded in the letter by her bedside. Alice had been contemplating my future after her departure. She prepared this for me for that reason. Alice, I was moved by her generosity. My eyes filled with tears. She cannot be thanked or compensated for. The thought now causes tears well up in my eyes. With a sniff, I unfolded an additional letter. But instead of a wordy letter, this one read as follows in the middle of the paper. Being at your side brought me immense joy. I appreciate how you have brought love and enrichment into my life. I adore you a great deal. There were noticeable tears on the stationery, and it was slightly wrinkled. I wept uncontrollably, weeping uncontrollably. It's me who needs to be giving thanks. Alice, I appreciate your love and presence in my life. I hope to see you once more. I looked out at the beautiful alpine scenery as the bus bounced me gently. I took today off to go on the trip that Alice gave me as a gift. To be honest, I wasn't all that excited, but Alice was anticipating the photos. As the bus transported me, I thought of Alice and how much she enjoyed the outdoors. She loved to travel, especially to regions with lots of natural beauty. She threw caution to the wind and declared that she still wanted to have a woodland bathe. I didn't often visit natural areas like mountains or rivers. All I can say is that I may have gone on field excursions for school. I used to wonder why gazing at trees was so enjoyable. However, after spending time in nature and with Alice, I was moved by the abundance and beauty of the planet. You won't find a vista like that in the city. There's an escape from reality, and before I knew it, I started to value the natural world. While brown and green hues make up the majority of the scenery from the bus, there are moments when rivers and camping areas are visible. In relation to that, Alice and I frequently went camping. Gathering the necessary equipment and all was a bit of a problem when she initially suggested camping, but it was enjoyable. Trying to start a fire, preparing the BBQ, getting too worked up about little things, and sharing laughs with one another. I shed silent tears as I saw the undulating forest scenery, recalling Alice. A deep and pervasive despair is piercing my heart. It is excruciatingly painful. I sobbed in silence. Please allow me to cry. I'm not resilient enough to bounce back that rapidly. Pardon me, are you all right? The woman seated across the aisle from me stretched out in worry, but I was just silently crying. I'm sorry. I'm fine, really. I attempted to acknowledge with a nod, but I was immobile. The woman in front of me was incredibly gorgeous. I was looking shocked, and the long-haired woman tilted her head and said, is there something on my face? Sorry, you just remind me of someone I know, I hurriedly said, snapping back to reality and wiping away my tears. I was taken aback by more than simply her attractiveness. She was obviously quite beautiful, but I also had a vague impression that we had met someplace in the past, but I couldn't place it. What location was it? Oh no, I can't recall. The woman laughed and gave me a little dissatisfied look while I was lost in contemplation. Ahaha, figures, right? Then she muttered something to herself that I was unable to understand. Did I say something odd? I tried to change the subject out of instinct after noticing her rather dejected profile. I appreciate you speaking with me. It enabled me to gather myself. She seemed to be traveling alone, and I knew that if I kept thinking about Alice, I would ruin the trip she had arranged for me. Perhaps that's why I made an effort to strike up a discussion. She smiled gently in response, though she still appeared astonished. I just felt it was unfortunate that a face that attractive could look so depressed. Are you going anywhere by yourself? The woman identified herself as Mir and said she was doing business at the same hotel. She said, she must have been a wonderful woman, as I introduced myself and said the trip was a gift from my late wife. Grieving over the loss of someone like her is only natural. She struck me as a genuinely good-hearted individual who had a genuine ability to relate to others. There is still some time before the bus comes. Could you please tell me a few things about your wife? What? I apologize if this is too painful. It is not necessary for you to. I've really never truly experienced the tenderness of a family because I was raised in an institution and have never been married. Mir gave me a slightly envious look. She seemed a little younger than me, but she exuded a certain innocent youth. Her remarks made me wonder if she had experienced a lack of affection as a child. They were so heavy and depressing. If you're okay hearing my story, I've got plenty. I then started telling Alice about my happy memories. It seems like you two were quite intimate, Mir said, grinning broadly. She listened to my narrative through to the very end, and it felt good to share my recollections with someone again, as it had been a long time. I haven't actually talked to many people since Alice died away. I've been keeping to myself. However, it was precisely because of that I was having trouble remembering where I had previously encountered Mir. I hoped that as I spoke, I would remember, but regrettably, I was unable to. My face must have reflected how uncomfortable I was. It felt like a fishbone caught in my throat. Perplexed, Mir inquired, "Is everything okay? You appear to be thinking deeply." I smiled at her. I didn't realize it was that clear. I can't quite place it, but I have a feeling that I have met you before. Oh, I see now. It's annoying when you can't recall something, she said before offering to assist in clearing that out. She said to me, passing me a piece of paper. That actually has a small studio in its annex. Visit and take a look. The bus stopped at that same moment as she grinned. I went to the inn after getting off the bus, and I had a decent time while on vacation. Even though I wasn't feeling very upbeat, talking to Mir made me feel better. I felt a little better when I thought of having a narrative to tell Alice, and I was interested in the studio Mir had described. Despite being an inn, This location seems to host concerts on a regular basis. Although I initially didn't understand why an inn would include a studio, the musical events helped it make sense. Mir had said that I would see why I was feeling uneasy if I went to the studio. I suppose I had to investigate. I went to the studio after taking use of the hot springs. I looked up to saw Mir, dressed in a dress, strumming a guitar. Something about her reminded me of a recollection. During the time Alice was still living with us, our dates would frequently take us to amusement parks. Since camping was a bit pricey for us, we typically went to the movies or the park instead. Alice stated, "Look over there," on one of those days. They had an event scheduled. At a little amusement park, there was a show on stage. There was barely anyone in sight as a lone woman with a guitar stood on the enormous stage. Given that it was a weekday, the attendance was expected. She started to play the guitar and sing, not allowing such things affect her. She had a very lovely and clear voice. More and more people gathered around as the music continued. Alice was also moved to tears. "She is incredible." She said something like, "I'd love to hear her play again." Oh, I see now. That day, Mir was the entertainer. I hardly remember her face because it was so long ago, but I will never forget the sound of her voice and the guitar. As Mir stated, I felt a lot better, and the knot in my throat relaxed. Her performance gave me a much-needed boost of energy. As it happens, Alice and I had just begun dating when we heard Mir's performance. Memories of those early days, both sweet and terrible, flitted back. It was like receiving a gift from Alice to meet Mir here today. Alice had a wonderful way of surprising people from a distance. Regards, Alice. Strangely, I don't feel pain when I listen to Mir's song and think back on Alice. For the first time in a long time, Mir's song appeared to wash away my sorrow and enable me to speak openly about my memories of Alice. There was a chance for spectators to shake hands with her after the show. She appeared to have a sizable following, each one beaming with enthusiasm at the prospect of getting to know her. In my case, I placed a thank you note in a fan mailbox since I lacked the bravery to participate in the handshake session. It said, "Thanks to you, I remembered so many memories with my wife." However, I haven't seen her again since then. I guess that's only natural. After all, she has her fans. I'm not the type to approach her casually. I had that thought. There was little chance of me running into her, because I was traveling alone and the inn was somewhat large. It's unlikely that I'll see her again. Meeting someone by chance is usually an uncommon occurrence. Once-in-a-lifetime experiences, if you will. That's what makes a journey truly charming. Surprisingly, though, I never would have thought that we would go on a blind date. I was astounded as well. It was on a blind date, 2 years later, when I finally ran across Maya. I didn't recognize her at first since she had cropped her long hair for a photo taken on a blind date. I should mention that my friend essentially compelled me to go on the blind date. Instead, I came here under false pretenses. My friend initially advised me to start over because there was a stunning woman who was still quite young. But regrettably, I wasn't thinking about getting married again. When the conversation seemed to be heading towards a blind date, I kind of declined. I was then asked to a semi-formal gathering. A social event can be left easily, unlike a formal blind date. Just this once, I thought to myself, because I felt horrible declining my friend's invitations all the time. But I was all set when I said yes to the invitation. Later on, he'll pay for this. Things seemed different when I realized it was Maya who was the other person. I really wanted to talk to her for a little while. I thought, Maya, you're famous. I figured a lot of people would be interested in learning more about your life. In all honesty, I don't have that many fans. Simply put, people flock to meet me because of my mentor's name because they are highly well known. In addition, I don't think I'll ever marry a fan. At the concert, it appeared as though she was extremely popular, but it turns out that was simply how it appeared. Making that tiny studio full doesn't translate into stardom. Furthermore, Maya sings as a passion rather than her primary employment. Since she had such a lovely voice, I really felt it was a shame she wasn't a professional vocalist. Maya, though, says it's only a hobby, so I can do it as I choose and not feel obligated to. I suppose there is some truth to the pressures associated with becoming a professional. Various methods for various people. We became closer through these chats with Maya. As it happened, our relationship was destined. After we started dating, a year had gone very quickly. In many ways, we clicked. Our relationship was easygoing, and we didn't fight very often. Maybe Alice was the reason we clicked so well, or maybe we were just a perfect match. Alice seemed to be pointing me in the direction of Maya. Although I was sincere in my desire to get closer to Maya, I did question whether my divorce would be sufficient. She firmly informed me that doesn't matter. She just wants to be with me when I expressed that worry. I wanted to stay with Maya forever after hearing her say that. I had not forgotten about Alice, of course. I was never able to. However, I feel like Alice would chastise me if I continued to live in the past. I'm sure she would tell me to gather myself. Thus, I made the decision to proceed. Do you want to wed me? I knelt in front of Maya and proposed marriage for the second time in my life, giving her a tiny ring and flowers. With a wide smile on her face, she exclaimed, "I'd love to." She was overcome with emotion when she took the ring. I would never want to feel that level of sadness ever again. Since Maya was aware of Alice's and my past, we both have routine examinations. After all, the likelihood of recovery is increased by early detection. Maya asked that we not have a wedding ceremony. The memory of your wedding with Alice is priceless. It's not anything I would want to change. She was quite thoughtful. But as every girl imagines herself in a wedding, I surprised her with a picture shoot and wedding gown as a tiny gesture. She exclaimed, "This will be a memory to cherish forever," with pure excitement. Maya appeared genuinely delighted when I saw her wearing that clothing and smiling brightly. My heart was full just looking at her. "Hey Alice, would you be upset with me if I told you I got married again?" "No. Knowing you, you would probably haunt my dreams, scolding me to never make your wife cry if I ever made her cry." Alice has some sort of connection to the tie between Maya and me. I will always treasure our friendship. So, things are good now. I apologize for worrying you so much. Alice was the reason I was able to go on. I want to give Maya all I was unable to give Alice. That would, I think, be my way of giving back to Alice and Maya for entering my life.